truth to me, yeah. But you were twisting the truth to me, yeah. But you were twisting the truth to me, yeah. But you were twisting the truth to me, yeah. But you were twisting the truth to me, yeah. But you were twisting the truth to me, yeah. But you were twisting the truth.
With the commish, Nate.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL, the world's oldest and longest online CFM. Started in 2001, still going strong today. We are short some of our players, but it's okay. We got two of them here, at least one for sure. My other buddy may still be getting ready. He just walked in the door, and he has still made time to jump in here. Let me welcome in my buddy Maniac, who might not be here, so it's okay if he's not, and he's still kind of getting settled in. And my buddy, Mr. Big Hurt. Fellas, how we doing tonight?
Doing pretty well.
Oh no. Why can't I hear you? I see you talking. I can't hear you, which means they can't hear you. And I don't know why. Team, y'all stay here. I'm gonna leave the chat and come back. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I love technology. It is just such a beautiful thing, technology. Let's see if we can get back in there. If you guys will be able to hear everybody. Try this again.
What's up? What's up? I'm here.
Why can I not hear y'all? That's ridiculous.
I'm wondering.
I see what's going on.
Yeah.
The stream can hear you guys. I can't hear you guys because the computer said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn your monitor off. Ugh, godly technology. What's up, fellas?
Hello.
What's up? What's up?
Sorry about the little glitch that happened there. It was a little weird here. And yeah, now I can't seem to get out of this other thingy that I need to get out of. But I can't hear y'all, which is a good thing. Fellas, happy Monday. Did we have a good Easter?
Yes, sir. Had a great
We had a good Easter, but not a good Monday.
Oh, well, that sucks. But
Boom,
hopefully,
boom, boom.
hopefully we can make it a little bit better. We don't know where Trey is. He's missing in action, and he did say, "I'll let you know." And I was like, "What's that mean?" And he said, "Well, if I get supper cooked enough." And I was like, "Well, kind of need you to make a commitment." And he is online, but he is not here tonight. So we might have to just roll with two of our past champions. But I will say Mr. Maniac is on a bit of a run here. We will leave it open in case Mr. Trey does have an opportunity to show up. Dwayne said, nope, not interested tonight. I'm going to go watch the Dallas Stars because hockey playoff time is here. If
They're going to lose.
Oh, goodness.
Take that back. Take that back. No.
Yeah, Mr. Maniac is a Dallas fan, but he still makes time for us, and I appreciate him for that. Let's do the 2 minute
I'm an
drill,
Avs
boys.
fan.
Let's jump into it. Let's go week number 13. It is on the screen. I'm going to toss it around to you, but Mr. Maniac, prepare yourself. You're the champion. you get to start us off here. Dallas wins 41-23. Dwayne beats Kevin. Joker beats Mr. Trey 39-17. Denbrew beats Nicesonger 43-20. Mr. Meat Boy with a big time win 17-14 over Trey. Maniac with a 31-10 victory over Massimo. Cincyberg with a 38-20 victory over Twinkie. Nipples, maybe. Nope, that was a sim win, but the Baltimore Ravens beat the Rams. The Flurries Falcons, not but Flurries Falcons beats my Saints 27-24. Bird beats Roger 24-21. Words are not my friend late on a Monday night. Mile High beats J Bows 21-17 in the Friend Bowl. The Lost Sniper just not doing any favors to the past champion. 34-0 over Kobe. Colin with a big time win over your Vikings, Mr. Big Hurt, 37-35. Sorry to bring that up. Penguins wins 28-7 over Logan. And then finally, Green Bay and Priest with a 38-21 victory over Little Koch. Mr. Maniac, get us going here. Chicago beating Minnesota. Is that bigger for Chicago or bigger for Minnesota?
This is a tough loss for Minnesota because this kind of puts them behind the 8 ball in this division. Really, Chicago's kind of taking a stranglehold in here, and I think I used the analogy of the bear hug and stuff last week. So not going to do that, but definitely sticking their bear claw on the trophy here in the NFC North. Minnesota is going to have to string together some wins to keep their playoff hopes alive. But if there's anybody who can do it, it's Big Hurt that can do that with those Vikings. And but this was a really close game, really entertaining game. So, but kudos to the Bears to keep rolling.
Mr. Big Hurt, this is a tough victory, but you hung in there with the champion. Did you learn a lot more about your team, or did you learn a lot more about how Colin plays in this one?
I mean, I think I knew how Colin plays. I think I know enough about my team. I knew it was going to be a dogfight. The first time this season I did beat Colin, and then the second time I knew he was going to come back and try and get the revenge. So it was a little bit more offensive and a little bit more scoring in this second match. But yeah, I don't think it was anything that is alarming, especially looking down the road in a couple weeks, as we'll talk about here shortly. The Bears just lost a big game that puts me right back into the mix of things. Being that I split with him, I think that's if going into the season, if I said I was going to split with the Bears, I feel like I'd have a good chance if I just take care of business outside of those two games.
I want to talk about Seattle before we get out of here. They win 17-14 against Detroit. That's a big time win, and Seattle's stacking wins here. Big Hurt, is Seattle red hot going here towards the playoffs, or are they going to fizzle out as we've seen them do the last couple of seasons?
Well, they're going to have to stay red hot with the Joker and the way he's been playing. Seattle's won 5 of the last 6 games since week 10, but they lost the game against the Steelers, which I did not anticipate or did not see coming. But he turns around and beats the Browns, which is a huge win, beats the Lions, beats the Ravens. So he's getting wins there against the teams, and it just kind of seems like he's found his way. But I think he's chasing the curtails of Joker because Joker, I think, has a game ahead of him. And I don't remember. He did beat Joker in week 2. They have a week 17 matchup coming. So I think that is going to be a huge game for Seattle, is that week 17 matchup. He's got a week 16 matchup against the Rams. And I think that's a game that he's going to have to win. He should win, be favored, and then finishes up the season with D-Money as he's been kind of struggling and been a MIA, whatever you want to call it. I think the Seahawks are red hot, but like I said, they have to stay red hot if they're going to close out the division championship for this season.
Maniac, what do you think about these old Seahawks?
Well, I definitely think he's on the right track right now. we're talking about, you can lose to any team any week in the OMFL. It seems like, you start like when we play in all the little games where we're picking the winners and stuff, goal sheet and different things like that. You think you got a sure thing, and sometimes it didn't turn out that way. So, but looking at the schedule, I really think the Seahawks. We've talked about him being the regular season champions. The Cardinals definitely have put together a great season so far. But I think Meek Boy right now is kind of starting to get things figured out a little bit. I know he had the hiccup with the Steelers, and again, like I said, that can happen any moment, any week. But also the Cardinals fell to the Rams. I mean, you look at that situation and stuff. So I think really looking at the full scheme of things, I think Meek Boy and the Seattle Seahawks, this is their division to lose. And he's been here before. And look for him to make that move in the season as the champion here, I believe.
Let's look at week number 14 and get to the tippity top over here. Week number 14 had Priest beating Tim, so 2 big losses for Tim, 34-21. Cincyberg with a 44-36 win over Bronco Man. That game sort of triggered some things in the OMFL that I'm sure we will talk about a little bit later. I'll save my comments till then. Nice Songer, a 30-24 victory over Kobe. This was probably one of the first games, as well as another game that happened, I think, this week. Maybe it was the following week in week 15 that made me go, something smells like tanking in this league. Mr. Roger with a 36-14 victory over Lost Sniper. That was a bit of a shocker. Dwayne with a 24-7 victory over Mr. Maniac, who then was ready to kick the bucket. Even though he's had a great season, Maniac was ready to throw it all the way after that one. Denbrew 41, Mr. Littlecock 7. I'm pretty sure those guys are no longer friends after that one. Mile High with a 30-10 victory over Massimo. This one I think was a CPU game. I could be wrong about this, but Nipples with a 26-21 victory over D-Money, who is in full tank mode. Luca with a 35-23 victory over J Bowles. Big Hurt bounces back with a 35-14 victory over Crazy B-Man. Trey bounces back with a 26-10 victory over Twinkie, and Penguins with a 35-10 victory over Meek Boy. You both already spoke to that game, so points for both of you for speaking for that one already. And finally, 2 more here. Bill with a 27-24 victory over Bird, and Atlanta and Flurry with a 45-9 victory over Kevin. Fellas, which caught your eye? What game caught your eye this week? I'm giving it to you, Big Hurt.
If I had to pick out the game, I think the game that for me was Green Bay and Detroit. I did not see this coming. I mean, Priest is trying to fight for his life to snag a wild card or do whatever and just kind of hanging on by threads. But it's an impressive win over Tim, who Tim at one point was basically kind of co-driving the division, and he loses a couple games and now he's like fighting for his life. And so I think this game was a huge game for both teams. Priest to kind of stay in the mix, and Tim to now kind of change gears and has a little extra pressure on himself. And obviously one that I watched because it's a divisional matchup. This was a big game.
Mr. Maniac, what caught your eye this week?
Well, I'm going to take a stab at that Colts and Jets game. That both guys didn't have any defense in this game for sure. But
our filters.
I'm telling you was that
our filters? No
our
defense.
filters,
our
yes.
filters.
Yeah, there was a lot lacking in that one. So, but the Jets have really kind of solidified the NFC or the AFC East. I'm sorry, I got to get my thoughts here. The AFC East, and I think it's really like this game kind of set him apart. He's flying high on offense right now. He's basically unstoppable on offense if you look at just some of the past games that he's played. and he's just really feeling it. And right now, but the Colts also being able to put 36 points on the Jets. Still has to come out of this game feeling like he's definitely in the playoff mix here and could compete with the Jets and those top tier teams in the AFC side. So, but kudos to the Jets. I mean, they came in, they played, and put up points. But that's about the most positive thing I can say about this game.
Bronco Man said, Cincy and I are good buds. We had a good chat after. That is not what I heard. I mean, I ain't getting involved if I don't have to get involved. That's just not what I heard. Maybe y'all patch things up. I'm just saved some of my other comments for a little bit later. Let's look at week number 15. Mr. Lost Sniper bounces back after a tough loss in week 14 with a 27-16 victory over Massimo, which I can't figure out the Dolphins. We're going to have to talk about them sooner or later here. Fleury with a big-time win over Trey, and the Commanders 37-21. Maybe that's why he's not around here tonight. I don't know. Little Koch bounces back 34-28 over Penguins. Now, this is the Little Koch we expected to see. Don't know where that's been. Bronco Man with a dominating victory over Maniac 27-14. Sorry, Mr. Maniac, to talk about that. My Saints with a 31-21 victory over Kevin. We were up way big, and all of a sudden we almost let Kevin come right back in that game. Roger, 2 dominating performances back-to-back. But looking at Nisunger's message in the chat, I'm starting to think that Kobe is maybe not around, and these are CPU games. Either way, Carolina and Bird with a 45-10 victory over Nisunger. Beal and the Giants with a 20-3 victory over Twinkie. God, do it every time. Jay Bowles, we'll get it out. 38-14 over Luka. I watched this game. Luka was hanging in there, and then all of a sudden the Broncos, who we better start paying attention to, just ran away from it in the second half. Arizona, this was a CPU game, 44-0. I'm pretty sure it was a CPU game, 44-0 over Nipples. Detroit bounces back. Tim with a 28-20 victory over Las Vegas and Jay Bowles. This is the game that you guys already talked about. I don't know why I can't talk tonight. We're going to get through it tonight, guys. We're in this one together. Crazy B-Man with a 20-14 victory over D-Money. And D-Money can tell you, I had to go ask questions after this. I was like, what's going on? All due respect to Crazy B-Man, but he's got a lot going on in life. D-Money is a 15-time champion here. That's not a score that you expected to see. Dallas and D. Wayne with a 23-14 victory over Cincyburg. This one was pretty close until late in this game where D. Wayne just kind of put it away. Logan bounces back with a 34-13 victory over Colin. That's a big-time victory there. Meek Boy with a 35-28 victory over Denbrew. Meek is making a statement, gentlemen. And then finally, Big Hurt flexes his muscles within his own division. 35-6 over Priest. Which one of these games this week do you think is a preview of the team that we will see in the playoffs? I'm coming to you first, Mr. Maniac.
I gotta go ahead and talk about the Broncos. I think with Jay Glaze, he put up 38 points. Luka has been, he's kind of been cold and hot at different times this Madden, but even this season, it's kind of been like just the full spectrum of what he's dealt with this Madden. But Jay Glaze, he's got it turned on. And he's got things figured out, and his team's working for him. He's built that team up. And he's 12-2, I believe, right now, or 10-2, one of those two. But I believe it's 12 wins. But he has just been absolute rock solid this season, and he's been playing with some of the best and competing against these guys and getting the wins. So I think you're going to see Denver make a deep push into the playoffs. I think he's going to be one of the ones possibly representing in the AFC Championship game. So keep an eye on these Broncos because they're for real.
Mr. Big Hurt, what do you think this week number 15? Which one of these games sort of gave us a preview of the team we'll see in the playoffs?
Well, for me, I mean, I'm going to stick with the Seahawks and Denver just because I think these are two owners that are both playoff bound teams. And so I was looking at this just for NFC matchups. I did beat the Seahawks early in the season, so I was kind of like, okay, if he wins or wild card, looking at seeding stuff. And then I was like, oh, he has to play Denver. That's going to be a big game for him. And he gets a 35-28 win over the Browns. This game was huge for both teams because the Browns are trying to stay pace with the Broncos, and the Broncos are playing good football. And I think they're 12-2. And then this game with a loss to the Browns drops them to 11-3. So it puts them a game back. I don't know if they've played each other or not, the Browns and Broncos, but head-to-head, would be interesting to see. What I think and what I know is Meek Boy has found his groove. Like I said, he's won 5 out of his last 6. This, if I know anything, has given Meek Boy some confidence. And so we got 3 weeks left or 2.5 weeks left, whatever it is. This could play huge for those final couple weeks of Meek Boy, just to be like, hey, I can compete with a guy that's a top dog in this league, a team that's been having really good success. Not that I don't think he can, but I just think it's a confidence thing for him. And for him to get the win at this point in the season, to stay in the mix of things with the division and Joker, and also try and be the driver in that division, it just gives him enough confidence to finish out this season and hopefully wrap up that division title.
I absolutely agree. Points to Bronco Man and points to Bill and Nicesonger in the chat, dropping some knowledge. Mr. Bronco Man said Broncos have tiebreaker over the Browns. Bill said Broncos beat the Browns earlier in the season. And then Nicesonger's trying to help me with names and words. Those always seem to be a challenge for me after talking all day long. That's what we're betting on and looking forward to here in week 16, 17, and 18. We got Raiders and Browns. We got Broncos and Lions, Texans and Bucks, Colts and Jaguars, Dolphins and Cowboys. Eagles and Panthers have already played. Panthers with a big-time victory over Twinkie. Chiefs and the Vikings, Falcons and the Saints, Commanders and Giants, Titans and Bills, Seahawks and Rams, Chargers and Bengals, Jets and Patriots have already played. 52-37, boys. No defense in that one. Hopefully there was a few more filters. Ravens and Steelers, Bears and 49ers. That could be interesting. Cardinals and the Packers. Big Hurt, I'm coming over to you. Which of these games are you betting on in week number 16?
Well, I'm betting on the Cardinals and the Packers to have a pretty big dogfight, just because if Priest has any chance to hang on, he has to win this game. And like I already said, the Cardinals pretty much have to win this game to remain in the driver's seat with the race to the Seahawks that they got going down to the wire. So this is a huge game for both teams. And so I'm betting that, and I also would even take a step further, and I'm betting that this is going to be probably, I don't know that it'll be a 52-37 offensive game, but I think it'll be an offensive game. Both owners run the ball well, so the clock will be running, but they also seem to put up pretty good offensive numbers. And so I think it'll be a fun matchup to watch those two's running games go head-to-head.
Mr. Maniac, which of these games in week number 16 are you betting on?
I'm betting that the Colts are going to continue his winning ways this week. I definitely think he's kind of putting himself in a position to put a little bit of a stranglehold on that division. But I will say just a little shout out to the Texans. The Texans have put a great season together, so they're right in the mix of this. But the Colts and Jaguars in the interdivision game here. But Nicesonger could play spoiler, so if he can actually get a victory against the Colts and Bronco Man here, definitely could open the door for Mr. Raj to make a move here in this division. But yeah, give me the Colts. So I just think his offense right now is moving at a different level than everybody else right now.
I happen to agree with you guys. Week number 17, we got Lions and Vikings. Sign me up for that one. Titans and Falcons, Buccaneers and Panthers. That Titans-Falcons sneaky could be good if Kobe's around. He's going to be trying to play spoiler, and let's not forget he's already won a championship this cycle. And Falcons are red hot right now. Buccaneers and Panthers, Chiefs and Packers, Texans and Jaguars, Chargers and Jets could be a sneaky good one. Dolphins and Patriots, Browns and Ravens, maybe a sneaky good one. Bengals and Rams, Browns and Raiders, Giants and Saints. That could go a long way for that last wild card spot. Broncos and Steelers, Seahawks and Cardinals. That's going to be a fun one. Colts and 49ers. That might be a fun one. Maybe 49ers full tank mode. Commanders and Cowboys, Bills and Eagles. I'm coming over you, Mr. Maniac. Which of these games are you betting on in week number 17?
For betting on here, I'm betting that this. I know this is kind of like the just take the easy road out of here, but that's what happens when I get first in this week. So, but the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I mean, both these guys. We've already talked about this game a little bit, this matchup and stuff. The Cardinals have been like this Madden. He's kind of struggled, but so far this season, he kind of put everything together. He's built his team well through the draft, and I think this is just going to be a perennial matchup here. And we could get this matchup again in the playoffs. I mean, so again, so these guys could face each other 3 times. But the Seahawks, I do think that he's been here before. I think that experience is going to pay off, and look for him to get the upper hand on the Cardinals in this game. But I do believe it's going to be a very close game, one that could just kind of go down the wire. We see both these teams seem to pull off the unbelievable last-second wins, and so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in the end.
Hurt, what you betting on in week number 18 or 17? Sorry.
I'm betting on the Broncos and the Steelers to be a potential AFC playoff matchup. The reason I say that is obviously we already spoke and know where Broncos and Jay Glaze is having some success being the top dog over there at 12-2. But with the Steelers sitting in the 6th spot right now at 8-6 and 4 teams right behind him at 7-7, this almost feels like a must-win for the Steelers. I don't know exactly, without going too in deep into it, the Steelers versus the Chiefs or the Steelers versus the Bills versus the Texans or versus the Ravens head-to-head matchup-wise there. But if he drops this game, there's 5 teams vying for like 2 spots, and he has really no chance at catching the Browns being 3 games back. I mean, it would basically require them to lose every game from here on out, and I don't see that happening. So if the Steelers are going to be in the playoffs, they got to sneak a wild card. But this is his chance to A, gain some confidence against the top dog, and B, kind of put a stamp on his season and gain that momentum going into the playoffs. And like I said, with 4 teams right on his tail for that final spot or 2 in the wild card, this is a huge game.
I absolutely agree. Let's get over there and look at week number 18. This is the last week, maybe a couple races left to be decided. Dolphins and Jets, Panthers and Commanders, Saints and Titans, Giants and Eagles, Steelers and Bengals, Chiefs and Bills, Rams and Browns, Cowboys and Patriots, Bucks and Jags, Packers and Broncos, Texans and Raiders, Falcons and Colts, Lions and Cardinals, Vikings and Chargers, 49ers and Seahawks, and Ravens and Bears. Boys, I'm coming to you first, Mr. Maniac. I think I owe this one to Big Hurt, who is in the lead right now, 35-29. Big Hurt, which of these games in week number 18 will be a game that you think could decide a playoff seed?
I have 2 that I'm kind of like having a hard time deciding. The Lions and Cardinals could be a huge matchup for both teams, but I've talked about those teams quite a bit, and I really want to zone in on 2 teams that haven't gotten as much, but are 2 great owners. And so I'm going to go with the Chiefs and the Bills. These two teams currently are both 7-7. They've got some tough matchups here in the last couple of weeks. And I just mentioned 4 teams at 7-7. These are 2 of those 4 teams, and they're vying for like 2 spots with the Charger or with the Steelers and those other 2 7-7 teams. So this matchup in week 18 could come down to, if things play out and the cookie crumbles the right way, this could be a win and you're in, lose and you don't make the playoffs. So this is a huge game for both teams, the Chiefs and the Bills. And like I said, it just kind of shapes up to see what happens in week 16 and 17. But just kind of looking at the overall picture at this point in time, I think this might be a, like I said, win and you're in type of thing, and sneak that 6-7 spot wild card, depending on like tiebreakers with the rest of those teams that are all in the mix. So big game between the Chiefs going to the Bills. And I also say that playing at Buffalo in that mindset is going to be tough, because we know the home field advantage with the kicking and stuff. So Shocks fans got to go on the road to play a tough crowd and Bills Mafia there. So this is, like I said, a big game.
Mr. Maniac, what about you? Week 18.
I was just sorry. I was having flashbacks of the last 2 weeks. So the Steelers and the Bengals, though, I think it's going to be a pivotal matchup here. One, it's an interdivision rivalry game. The Steelers really need this victory to keep that stranglehold on that second wild card playoff. But the Bengals have showed to be like the spoiler teams, and I think Little Koch, we've talked about it. He's had some struggles. He is playing this backup quarterback that I think he's really building to get to go to the next Madden for that import for the Browns. But this is going to be a home game for the Bengals. The Steelers are going to be obviously on the road. And if things fall just right for the Bengals here, they could play spoiler, and it could open up another one of those wild card spots here for one of these other teams that are at 7-7 currently to possibly sneak into the playoffs. But man, it's playoff football. Week 18 is really just an extension of playoffs for those guys that are in that wild card spot. So it should be a great game nonetheless, because Little Koch and that quarterback, man, he is putting on some numbers anyway for offense. He may not be playing great defense, but he is putting some offensive numbers up.
We got a tight one as we get done with our first segment here. 35 for Mr. Maniac, 40 for Mr. Big Hurt. Big Hurt said, "Not tonight, Maniac. I'm taking back my championship." We're going to turn the corner here and talk about, last week, we talked about best stories of season 34, but now I wanted to open it up. What has been the best and the worst of Madden, or of season 114? I want to talk about the worst first. Let's end on a good note. Let's end on a happy note. Let's end with the chat still active and engaged and not pissing anybody off. Let's talk about the worst. Mr. Maniac, you're behind, so I'm going to come to you first. What has been the worst thing? And I left it open on purpose. It's completely up to you. You got 3 minutes to talk about the worst thing in season 114.
Well, I start off with a sadistic laugh, but probably the worst thing has been all Madden, all Pro, all Madden, all Pro, all Madden. That has been something that has been absolutely the worst for this season. I think it's just so much going around that, and it does. I mean, just from the scheme of things with the Madden, and when they update, yeah, I know it throws everything off, and it tends to get things kind of skewed, and the game plays different and stuff like that. But that has to be like the worst thing. Just, it's constantly in the chat, it's constantly in streams, it's constantly. I mean, even myself, I've fallen to victim. Just to start like, oh, well, it's playing different, or it's the stupid game. It is what it is. You just deal with it, put your best foot forward, and try to do the best you can. But man, that has to be hands down the worst thing this season.
My guy Maniac said, I don't need 3 minutes. Give me one, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. Big Hurt, you've been pretty opinionated, and I like it, and I dig it. You're all about the OMFL, and I appreciate the love and the support. But what has been the worst thing? And to be honest, just so that we're clear, everyone, I left this open. I say you talk about a team, a player, a stat, a slider, a setting. Like, it is wide open here. Big Hurt, what's been the worst thing of season 114?
I kind of tried to rack my brain on this earlier today as you sent me kind of the schedule that, I was like, do I really want to talk about that? I've been so vocal about it, and I just feel like I don't know, should I really beat a dead horse? But I think at the end of the day, like, it is the worst thing. So I mean, to stay on topic and talk about it, I guess I'm going to talk about All Madden All Pro. And I guess what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I feel like text can be taken out of context, or tone can be taken differently. And so, kind of to summarize what I'm saying is, I love this place because of the people that we have here. I love this place because of what the extra stuff that comes with it, the content, the draft shows, the Press Pass Live, the streaming of the games, everything, and then just the competitiveness, the parity. But I guess at the end of the day, what I don't like about this, and the worst part of it is we have guys that feel a certain way to play All Pro or All Madden, and it's like a never 50% this or 20, the numbers, I don't know the exact numbers, but you have a group that feels great about All Pro, and you have a group that feels great about All Madden. And I've said from day one that I preferred All Pro, and then we played on All Madden, and I put the time in, and I was like, actually, you know what? Like, I just need to adjust. And I think that's what I'm getting at, is everybody just needs to learn how to adjust. And if you can't adjust, then you're not a football coach. You're not a sports person, because if you're a baseball player and you sit and you throw a fastball and the guy's hitting you and you just keep throwing fastballs and being like, well, how, why is he beating me? Like, you got to adjust. You got to learn how to throw that off speed. And the same thing here for football. Like, if you're a guy that relies on superstar and abilities, and those are taken away, then learn how to play the game and mix your plays up and play the chess match, or do this, do that. Like, that's what makes sports fun. And so I just get tired of the All Pro, All Madden, this and that, back and forth, Taco Bell, but I'm trying to order a burger, or vice versa. And it's like, let's just play the game and be competitive and have fun with it. Because what I will say, to kind of wrap my whole spiel up, is when we were on All Madden, there was, I feel like, less of a debate. There was a debate, but there was less of a debate. We also didn't have teams tanking. And yes, we have teams tanking. And so now guys are even more checked out than when they were on All Madden. And so, like, I don't know, for me, from a league standpoint, I'm not talking about how the game plays for me. I'm talking about how the game plays for the league as a whole. And I think we had some really good parity, and we still do. But at the same time, I think we had the parity was at the highest when it was on all Madden. And we didn't have guys tanking. We didn't have guys checked out. We didn't have all this debate day in and day out. And I think it's plays a little bit towards the end of the cycle. So guys are a little more checked out. Summer's coming around. I get that. But at the end of the day, like I said, just put the time in, play the game, enjoy the league for what the league is. And I'll tell you, if we played on rookie, I'd play in this league because of the league. So for me, I don't care. I'm just going to adjust because I want to be here. I want to play. I want to enjoy the extra stuff. I don't want to not play here. And one person did say, well, you've played in several other leagues. And you're right. But when push came to shove and I had to eliminate and go down to one league, this is my only league right now.
Yeah, thank you, guys. There was something about the whole Taco Bell Burger King conversation that got under my skin, and I can't even give you a logical reason. There was like a tone about it. Just to sort of wrap that conversation up, because I didn't think you'd both go in that direction. I won't give you my worst thing, but I think it's the tone and the approach of the I don't know. It just feels like people like think I'm an idiot and don't know what I'm doing. I'm just guessing at all this. Like I haven't been doing this for 20 years and I put in the time. Like I'll debate any of you because none of you, the person closest to me would be Maniac and the second person would be Roger as far as time into the sliders and play testing. And like I have spent countless 2 a.m. mornings just testing things and adjusting things for years. So I just don't appreciate sort of the tonnage that I read sometimes, and I just got to walk away because I really don't let it get under my skin anymore as bad as it used to. But the tone of you're an idiot and you don't know what you're doing, and if you just listen to me, I would teach you how to do this right, Nate. Just kind of annoys me. The worst thing for me, you touched on a Big Hurt, is the tanking. Clearly, it's happening. Guys are never going to admit it. Guys got built-in excuses. They got reasons, but it's like, I wish we didn't see that. I wish that was a little bit better. So that's probably the worst thing that I've seen late here in the season is the guys are starting to check out. Now, it's also starting to warm up. Summertime is around the corner, so I know that tends to happen about this time of the year as well. So those who want 6 seasons, this is why we don't push for 6 anymore. If they ever organically happen, we'll gladly do them. It's not a hard, fast rule, but this is why after 5, it's like, man, I'm just tired of banging my head up against a wall for half the league to play these games. Let's talk about the best thing, guys. We're going to talk about the best thing of season 114. I'm just going to leave it open. Whenever you guys are done, I'm going to let it go ahead and go to the next. And the best thing for me has been some of these teams that are starting to figure things out and like starting to turn the corner. I feel like I've been talking about the Jets for a couple of seasons. The Broncos are having a great season. The Browns are back. The Bird and the Panthers feel like they're starting to find their footing. Fleury is red hot right now. The Penguins, I know he's had some tough losses, but he's turned the corner a bit. The NFC North has got a really fun schedule starting to break out. Arizona finally just grabbing that brass ring, even though Seattle is fighting him for it. There's just some really fun storylines being played out. And to me, that is the best thing. Big Hurt touched on it. Maniac touched on it. It's the parity in this league. It's what we're always aiming for. Big Hurt, I'm coming to you with your 53-40. What do we have? 53-40 lead right now. So he started running away, but don't worry, Maniac. You're going to have plenty of time to make a comeback here. What has been your best story so far this season?
My best story is going to be the playoff race. Looking at these, like we touched a little bit in the recap of week 16, 17, 18. Like we got 4 teams at 7-7 in the AFC. We've got a bunch of teams in the NFC that are sitting like in the 9-win range, like from the Bears, the Lions, the Vikings. Then you got the Giants and the Falcons at 8 wins. So there's a chunk of teams like the AFC all within that group. You even have 3 teams at 10 wins, the Seahawks, the Panthers, and the Cardinals. So I think everybody's just the parity is what I come to, the playoff race. That's the best thing about this. I also will jump in and say the best thing about it is with the playoff race and the parity is seeing teams like the Titans, the Ravens, and the Niners not dominating this league anymore because, I love D-Money. I've had great conversations with him, and I many times called him out and said, yeah, I'm not gonna bow down to him. Like, he's a champ, but I want to beat the best to be the best. So just to see him at 3-11, whether he's tanking or not, that's for another debate conversation. But the Titans just won a OMFL Bowl, and the Ravens were a top team, and the Bears are back. But other than the Cowboys, this kind of seems like everybody else. It's been either there, but they've had their season where they've had a hiccup, and then you got teams like the Jets and the Broncos and teams that are having really good success, and teams like the Colts are getting hot right here at the playoff time to kind of make their push again. So I think that's the best thing about this league is we have a lot of guys, and as Colin showed last year, any team can win. It's just to give me that shot. Let me get in the playoffs, and then let the chips fall how they may. And that's what's fun about this point in the season.
The man said, I'm not bowing down and kissing the ring. It's not going to happen. Maniac, what's your best story so far this season?
I mean, there could be so many different angles we could take on the best story. I mean, but I'll look at, and I've talked about this before, but I want to take a look at the guy, Roger, and the Texans. We've seen him with his physical issues that he's had, those personal issues that you have to deal with, and sometimes just gets in the way of Madden, some dang personal issues, wish they weren't, an issue, but he has fought with all that, and he's still been a key cog in this community. But he's always kind of has struggled and stuff. But you look at his schedule, the teams that he's faced, and you look at his record right now. He has played some really good teams, and he's played really well all season long. I know he's 7-7 right now, but he has been in every game. And we used to see, you don't ever want to count somebody out, but you'd see Roger be in some of those games where he was just getting blowed out, and he'd always talk about, well, I'm dealing with having to take medicine and stuff like that. But I mean, this dude is balling out this season, and I'm so proud of that. I could go 0-18, and if I see Roger make the playoffs, I think that would make me extremely happy, just because he is such a great dude, and he does so much around here. I don't know if you just say that's the best thing. It's like the best feel good story, I think, of the OMFL. And I hope Roger can squeak into the playoffs, because man, his offense is super fun to watch. I know he loves that deep ball, and he knows when to call that play, man. So he is just he is fun to watch, fun to play, and he always has a great attitude about it, and I just love Raj.
Absolutely. Roger is the man. Love him like a big brother that I never had. 52-62. Mr. Big Hurt has a commanding lead here as we turn the corner and open up the OMFL mailbag. Fellas, looks like we have a handful of questions, so let's start digging into them. No OMFL news. Our buddy Denbrew is feeling sick this afternoon. I hope he is feeling better by the time he watches this. Bronco Man, I've not read any of these, so I have no clue what's about to come our way, fellas. Bronco Man said, if you called the shots at EA, what is one feature you would add, remove, or change to the game? That is a great question, and my answer feels like it would be cheating. But I would remove I was going to say I'd hit full reset and build a whole nother game from scratch, but I would... I'd do away with abilities, and I would add back some more of these missing CFM features that we used to have back in the day. Just go back to NFL head coach. Give me back my radio show. Give me back all those in-depth news stories and everything else that, I don't want to read the same 6 tweets every single season with a different name attached, blah, that's boring. Give me back Tony Bono or Brono. No, that's our guy, Tony Bono. Whatever that dude's name was back in the day. Give me that radio show. Give me the newspaper articles. Give me back that, really, and abilities they got to go. I understand the concept, but they are gimmicky and arcadey. And let the rank mode have that. Let the MUT have that. Let the rookie mode have that. Give us real simulation football. And I'll say this before I toss it to Maniac first for the answer. I get that people hate. It's a 50-50. Some people, it's probably not even 50-50. It's probably 25%, 40% that are very indifferent to it. But there's a love-hate with abilities. The reason they're off is because I'm just so sick of the gimmicks. I'm over the gimmicks. I just want to play football. I just want to call a play, build a player, go play football. Let the skills shine, and just all of the home field advantage gimmicks and the player ability gimmicks and the hot streaks and the press conferences and the plus abilities, minus ability. I am just so beat down over all the gimmicks. I'm over them. They're dead to me. I'm ready to move on. Maniac, what would be something you would add, remove, take away, delete, bring back? What would you do?
I could probably do a whole entire show if you would let me, but we're time strapped, so I'll try to make this quick as possible. First off, remove. I would love just to remove Madden Ultimate Team altogether. I think it should be its own separate game, mobile type game or whatever. Have it gone away from this, but adding stuff. I would love the fact to add back stinking photos that you can take that actually post inside the franchise so people can see what you're doing instead of having to upload it to the PlayStation app and then put it in Discord. And I just think there's so many different things they could do with the franchise hub in itself. And the fact that we've had some of these features before or something similar. Have video shots of highlights going throughout the entire franchise as you tune in to the franchise or whatever. It's playing highlights from the previous week. You're seeing Big Hurt make that 89-yard pass to his tight end. Or different things like that. But it just they've kind of stripped it down, and then they add all these cutscenes with the coach and. You can have +5 to your play rec rating for this week, or this. It's just all a bunch of nonsense, and I know I probably wouldn't make the money that the guys that they have in office right now for that, but my sole focus would be on making franchise the best franchise it has ever been.
I was leaving it open, but I'll go ahead and toss it over to him. I'll say this is how bad gaming is in 2025 with PS5s and every other great piece of technology that we have, that we're yearning for a game that was 20 years old, head coach, whatever that game was. We're yearning for the Madden 01s to Madden 09s. What are we doing? What are we doing? Mr. Big Hurt.
For me, I think it would be just kind of enhancing the league from a draft standpoint and kind of enhancing the scouting. I just don't it's better than last year's game, but it just seems like it's the same repeatable thing, and it's just you do this, you become good at scouting the right way, and it's a science, but it's not really it gives you the information enough to know, but then it's you really find the gems. And to me, the draft is should be more hit or miss, and you should have your top 3, 4, 5 picks in the first round should be those studs, and then you might have a bust guy who was taken first, be a Ryan Leaf or be a Jamarcus Russell or something like that. Yeah, this guy's a stud, and then he just flops and doesn't play out well. But I think we have too many guys. It's we know the top 3 guys are going to be studs. We know these corners have the 40s and the physical traits, and they can just be groomed too easily. And I don't know what it would take, but I would say finding a way to code something in there to where it would be the draft means more, and building your team, there's more to it, and there's more taking a chance on a guy. And so I would say trying to find a way to do that would be huge for a Madden game. I also will say I hate MUT, so I would not be mad if that went away.
You guys were just talking about something that triggered a thought. I looked over at the stats. Our stats are not terrible this season, even on All Pro. Now, they're not amazing. We're still probably going to have close to almost 2 5,000-yard passers, but they're not terrible. We're not going to have We might get close to a 2,000-yard rusher, but we're not going to have multiple 2,000-yard rushers. Receiving stats are always stupid. Those are never, ever close. Like interception numbers are never, ever close to real NFL. But overall, our stats are not crazy. I don't see defensive ones up here. Let me scroll down a little bit and look at a couple of those. Yeah, like the sack numbers are going to fall somewhere in the 17 to 18 in the leaders. Those aren't terrible. Interception leaders are in the 9s. They're probably going to fall 11 or 12. Overall, I'm fairly happy with where we landed. But thank God, I just guess at this stuff, and I have no clue what I'm talking about. Let's look at his second question. Bronco Man says, regarding this season, what has been your Achilles heel for your team? I'm coming to Big Hurt first. Mine, 100%, has been offensive line. Early in the season, we were giving up tons of sacks and not opening up running games. The sacks have gotten better, giving my quarterback more time, but the running game just has been brutal. Like I'm scraping out 70, 80 yards. It's been a tough go running the ball and getting open running lanes. And I know people have complained about it, but I actually think it's been really it's equaled real life NFL and the injuries. We've had some injuries on our offensive line, but I like that. And I get it. No one likes when they get 4, 5, 6 injuries, but we've only seen that happen a couple of times. And it has been a couple of key injuries, especially to the offensive line and some quarterbacks. We've seen multiple weak injuries for the quarterbacks. What about you, Big Hurt? What has been the Achilles heel?
For me, it's going to be my pass rush. I feel like at times I am unable to apply pressure in certain situations, especially against certain teams. And I think the offensive line does have a bigger play and importance this year than just taking that low to mid 70 overall guy and he plays great. Having the better offensive line with the better blocking and, attributes to go along with that, it does make a difference, which I like, being that the offensive line has a value to it now. But it almost feels like guys that I don't think I would be top of the line pass rush, but guys that I feel like I thought I was going to have a decent year with, they've been non-existent. And it's just like one game I'll get 2 or 3 sacks and I'm like, oh, okay, where was that? And then all of a sudden the next game, 2, 3, 4 games, I get like 1 sack for the whole 2, 3, 4 game period. And I'm just like, yep, that's more like it. So for me, Achilles heel is definitely the pass rush.
Maniac, what about the Bills?
I dealt with that quarterback injury for 7 weeks, and that was tough. Probably the Achilles heel, or maybe my dislocated ankle completely together overall. I think I've kind of pinpointed some of my problems is my team in certain areas is getting older. I didn't address the offensive line, of course. I did make a couple moves, but I think it's too late in the cycle really to pay dividends at this point in time. But I think one of the big things is I haven't evolved my playbook enough. I think I was speaking to, I don't remember, it was maybe Bronco Men or something, but I feel like I'm too predictable in my play calling, and so I think that's going to be one of the things I'm going to look in the offseason. I just think I'm too vanilla on my play calling, especially on offense. I think defense I do well, but offense is just like, guys know, well, I think he's going to run the ball probably to the left on first down, and so they kind of gear things up where it's like, it almost feels like they know what I'm calling, and they probably do because they've probably scouted me enough and watched me enough to know. And so I think I just need to grow my playbook and get a little bit more maybe exotic looks, going that kind of get guys thrown off of what I'm doing, because I do think you can get too predictable, and in this league, when you get too predictable, it's just playing right into the hands of these guys.
I almost said something that was trying to make the point that you made, and I was like, oh no, somebody might read that wrong, so I'm not going to say it. Tim says, boy, Tim, I love this. While setting up a chair in the middle of the room closer to the TV, having my Lions water bottle next to me, I begin to wonder, does anyone have any superstition or routine you have to do when you play your OMFL game? I think that is an interesting question. And mine has been a struggle that I've talked about a couple times here, and it is that no one wants to watch a stream where I put all the effort to make the stream pretty, which is broke right now. If y'all watch my streams here soon, like they're not good because my capture card, for whatever reasons, only let me show you all 1080p 30 frames per second. So it looks terrible right now. They're trying to help me fix it or figure it out. But no one wants to watch me just stare at my screen and not say anything. But then, like we've talked about in the OMFL a lot in the last few days, I used to say things that just got me in trouble. And I'd get the message, my mom was watching the stream and she didn't like what you... And it was just like, oh my God, what are we doing here? So it's like, how do I be entertaining and worth watching if you're going to put forth the effort to turn on my stream, but yet still focus on my team and get like really laser focused? That can be really difficult. What about you, Mr. Maniac? Any crazy routines or superstitions?
I don't know if I've really like developed any superstitions, but I definitely have to have water or a glass of sweet tea when I'm playing, because one, if I start getting a little too, I was going to say hot around the collar or whatever, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, I'm like, okay, I got to get a drink of water. I got to get a drink of tea, because it helps calm me down a little bit and stuff. And of course, I've had some issues with blood pressure and stuff. So, I don't need no stupid game causing me to kill over, so gotta keep it real. But I don't know, I guess I've had any superstitions like where, I gotta hit the X and circle and click in the right analog stick twice, before I start playing. So
Big Hurt, what about you, bud?
For me, I really don't. I just have my setup and I just lock in. The only thing I do it's kind of my daily thing. I just like to have a hat on. I don't know, it's just like kind of my daily routine. I wear a hat a lot, so I just feel like naked when I don't have a hat. So when I go down and play, and if I don't have a hat, I usually put a hat on. But other than that, I really don't have anything. I guess sometimes I have a drink. Typically, I have water or something by me at pretty much any time, at all times. Especially lately, I've been trying to drink a lot more water. But I don't really have any like superstitions.
I like when you play Dwayne and he has a drink. He's a lot easier to play when he's had a couple of drinks in him. All right, two more questions as we wrap things up here. Mr. Denbrew, he had that splitting headache that kept him from getting us the OMFL news, but he did have time to get us some questions, and I appreciate that. What is your favorite NFL team's biggest draft bust? And what is your favorite NFL team's biggest late round draft find? Mr. Big Heart, we're coming to you first.
Well, for me, being a Cowboys fan, I think the biggest draft bust, I'm going to throw out a couple names. Mozzie Smith, I thought he was going to be a huge piece to a defensive tackle hole, and that dude has been absolute hot garbage. Taco Charlton, when he was drafted, I thought, man, this guy could be a really good pass rusher, and he's been a hot, fresh pile of poo-poo. And then Connor Williams, everybody was like, oh, this guy's going to be a really good center guard guy. And he was awful. And so we got rid of him. He went to the Dolphins. He's played a little bit better in Miami, but that guy was horrible. So those are definitely the three guys lately that I would say that I remember that are just like early. And I know Mozzie and Taco were first round picks, so that was frustrating. I think Connor Williams was an early second round pick. But for late round finds, guys that kind of had like a short stint with the Cowboys, but did well. Donovan Wilson was drafted late in I want to say 6th, 5th round, something like that. Still playing with the team, and he's had a pretty good career. I think Donovan Wilson's a solid player. Cedric Wilson was a guy that I really liked before Dallas moved on from him. He was kind of a versatile receiver. We'd run some trick plays with him, and he executed well. We threw the ball to him as like our 4th option in the receiving room, and he made some plays, and then we just decided to let him go to the Dolphins, and I was kind of like, that didn't make sense. But also guys like Noah Brown and Anthony Brown, even Dak Prescott, like they've been drafted kind of late, and they've had good careers for the most part. So those would probably be my biggest finds and busts.
Maniac, what about you? Same team.
Same team, yeah. So you can say, so you're going to get double dose of Cowboy mania here. So, but I'll throw out one name is Bill Parcells' era when he drafted Bobby Carpenter, the linebacker from the Ohio State Buckeyes. And he was an absolute, probably the worst ever pick ever made by the Cowboys. I'm sure there's probably others, but Taco was another one I was thinking about, man, Bobby Carpenter, he couldn't tackle. He couldn't, and that was like the most important thing to do as a linebacker was tackle. Then looking at like biggest late round draft finds, and I have to admit, like the Cowboys have been like one of the better teams finding late round draft picks that end up succeeding. They got a guy by the name of Leon Lett that was also a guy that helped them get into the Super Bowls back in the Jimmy Johnson era. Marion Barber was, I think, a late 4th round, early 5th round pick, and he was an absolute beast.
Marion the Barbarian.
Yeah, he was like one of the best short yardage backs you'll ever have.
Joseph Randall was another running back.
Yeah, from Oklahoma State. Yeah, he was another.
Yep.
But I think overall, looking at Dallas has had big success also finding free agents. And Tony, my man Romo, my ultimate favorite quarterback, was an undrafted free agent out of Eastern Illinois, and he was actually found by your guy too, Sean Payton. Sean Payton loved him, and he was the one that kind of found him as the gem. So I just, there's a lot of others that I can name, but those are the ones that just really kind of impacted kind of my thought process in this question.
Sean tried to trade for him after coming over to New Orleans, and Dallas wouldn't let him go, and they made him the starter. So it all worked out for the best. Easy draft bust. There's probably more than I could ever name. I'd say Davenport, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but the linebacker defensive end that just went and signed with Dallas. Both of them, draft bust, traded up in the 1st round to get both of them. There was a guy way back in the day, Sullivan, a defensive tackle from Georgia, that we traded up in the 1st round to draft. We have more bust than you can shake a stick at. But late round finds, easily Marquise Colson, one of my all-time favorite Saints, 7th round draft pick. He was so much fun. Like, I still remember watching his first season, and just like you could see this, something's different about this cat. And those guys were awesome. Also, the Saints have drafted tons of late round Hall of Fame offensive linemen, from Teron Armstead, who just retired, drafted in the 3rd round, to I'm drawing blanks on their names, but Nix, who I think was drafted in the 5th round. McCoy, our current center, was drafted in the 2nd round. It's not late, but for, what can be a Hall of Famer in the 2nd round. There's 2 other names. I'm drawing total blanks, but 2 offensive linemen that were drafted 4th round and later that are going to be, one that just got in the Hall of Fame. I can't believe I can't think of his name all of a sudden, but these were just really good teams. Peyton also was really good about finding undrafted free agents that ended up just making massive differences for the Saints. Guys, that's going to do it for us, and we're going to move to our last question. Big Hurt has a 83-79 lead, and so because of that, he's going to take a 2-point lead into the final question. And this one's sort of wide open. There's a lot of different directions I think that we could go. I'm going to check the mailbag one more time to make sure everything is absolutely clear. We've talked about over the season different teams that have gotten hot and cooled off as we've went along here. And there are teams like the 49ers that were like, tank, what's going on? They're tanking. And then there are teams, that are playing really good, like the Houston Texans. The Browns have turned things around. The Broncos, red hot. And so there have been several different ways that we could sort of look at this. But the question here is, do OMFL owners tank? Do you think that they tank whenever it comes to the OMFL and getting draft picks? Big Hurt, we're going to start with you to start this argument. You got 2 minutes, brother.
I mean, I think tanking is obviously present. I hate to say that because I think there's a lot of great integrity in guys here. But at the same time, on a competitive level, this isn't put into play. You're looking at the end of a cycle. Guys are getting busier because there's stuff going on outside with like the summertime and kids being outside with, sports and whatnot. So you're busier. It's easier to just kind of push it off and be like, yeah, I'm busy. I can't play. I'll take that high draft pick. And then boom, all of a sudden I got my import. And especially with like a season or so left, you can kind of utilize that draft pick now to like still have time to groom that guy and figure out if that is your import. Maybe you're sitting on a guy right now that you're unsure, but you use this season. But I think at the end of the day, I think tanking is there. I think it's always been a thing. I just think it's more questionable with the amount of teams that we have that are like, why are they 3 wins or 4 wins? Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's too many guys that are sitting there right now that have proven to be staple, repeat OMFL Bowl winners, consistent playoff teams. It'd be the same thing as like Dwayne won like 4 games. You'd be like, that's not even possible. Like, how is this guy winning only 4 games? And I don't know. For me, like, I hate to say it, I just think it's guys have gotten busy, and then it's like you've lost a couple of games, and then it's like, okay, well, at this point, like, what's the point? I'm just going to throw it away because I'm busy. And so I think maybe it started out that you weren't, and now it's like, okay, screw it, I'm just going to throw the towel in. And like I said, it goes back to like D-Money, Kobe. Like, these guys I know for a fact are such good play callers, owners, and it's like, I don't know, I hate to call them out, but like just to see 3 wins and 4 wins, it's like, I know they're too good to be sitting at 3 and 4 wins. And it's just kind of mind blowing to see that. And yeah, I hope they upset and kind of throw some wrenches into the playoffs. Cause like I said, we're at a fun point in the season, but I don't know, for me to see those guys, I just kind of scratch my head and I'm like, how is that's not even possible.
Maniac, tanking. Is it real or not?
Let me take a deep breath. Yes, it is going on. It is going on like there's no doubt about it. It's almost like as much as real thing as Christmas is. So the biggest one I feel like is D-Money. I mean, I'm not just trying to just call him out, but I mean, 3-11. I don't think that this guy could probably play blindfolded and probably get 5 wins in a season. And so I know he's got a kid and stuff like that, and I know things happen, life is real, but look, kind of like what Big Hurt said, you get a couple of losses and it's like, let me just go ahead and just take the easy chair and sit on the back porch and rock my season to sleep here, and I'll just take the draft pick and I'll buy my next import for the next Madden, pretty much. And there's some guys that they made a decision to play younger guys, and they're not full on tanking, but they're playing younger guys, trying to build up a guy to possibly bring into the next Madden. So to me, that is legit. Playing your cards to where you can actually build players up. Yeah, you realize your team is not capable of competing like they should, but hey, I'm going to go ahead and play my games. I'm going to go ahead and compete, and I'm going to try to put my my best players at other positions as I'm trying to grow this quarterback or this running back or this wide receiver to take into the next Madden, and I'm going to give my opponent everything I can throw at him to try to get to win the game and stuff. But some of these others, we're seeing that guys are playing CPUs, they're getting Sims, and that's just, to me right there, that is just the big check mark that says I'm tanking.
Yep, it is. It's a tough thing to figure out. I do not believe ever that NFL teams tank. It just doesn't make logical sense. Now, I think owners maybe set their team up to fail. That maybe happens, but I don't think NFL teams tank. I do think what you said, Maniac, is the version of tanking that we experience here in the OMFL. Guys just go, well, I'm just going to switch it off. I'm going to find a reason to not go be above and beyond to get my game in. I'm going to figure out a reason to not, play my game, even though I'm only going 1 day out of the 3-day advance. I'm going to figure out a way to not start these players and try to quote unquote build younger players. Like, guys find a way to give them plausible deniability, which sucks because I'm a bit of a softie. And if you have any logical explanation, I go with it, but I think it is very clear it happened. Tonight, fellas, we have a brand new champion. Finally, Big Hurt takes it back. Big Hurt, 1 minute, final closing thought. It's all yours. Take it away.
Well, I wanted to throw in kind of one thing about the tanking. I think it's ironic. I go and look, and the 49ers have a first-round pick, 3 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks. If this man was not engaged and was busy, why is he stockpiling picks? That's something that's interesting. I also think something that you said, statistically, I know you put in a linebacker, and I think your running back even that you're starting now a couple seasons ago, you found a little bit in what you had in them by putting them in. It wasn't hey, I'm calling the game to tank, but at this point, these guys, I have no value left. I'm not going to re-sign these guys. Let me see what I have behind them. And maybe that's showing that you're giving up, but it's not really. You're giving up on the guys that you brought in to win now, and you haven't won. So you're moving on to see if you guys that you can move on forward with. And so I don't see that from these teams, and that's why I think that to kind of switch gears. I think for me, I just want to touch base on the All Madden All Pro thing again. I hope there's no hard feelings when I was very vocal. I just want people to appreciate this place, because I know me personally, if this place wasn't in existence, I would have a very tough time even playing Madden, because the game is that brutal. But I've played Madden because I love football and I love this place. And so a lot of the, I'll just blatantly say it, bullshit that comes with the game, and a lot of it's it's something that not one person in this league can have any control over. So we just take it for what it is, and we play the game because we want to play a Madden. We want to play Madden NFL game. We want to play in a league where we know guys are going to play, for the most part, pretty right and fair and sim style. So I just think we need to kind of have a filter, as we talked about, even in the chat, and just because for me, I know Nate probably sees it and he's just my God, is this really going on again? And at some point, Nate has said it multiple times, it comes a time and a place where too much is too much, and then he's just going to shut the doors down. And I hate when you get to that point, because I hate to even think that this isn't a place that I would have to play. There's too much for me to unplug in life. I had a 12-and-a-half-hour day today. it was horrible. And here I am running home to jump on and do a Press Pass live show. And now it's like, hey, I had a pretty decent Monday. So this little show turned my Monday around. So it's just like something I looked forward to each Monday night, and just playing my games. And so I just hope guys kind of have that same perspective. That's all.
That's going to do it right here. My final closing thought, because I run the show and I try not to talk while these guys are doing this. Is fun. I enjoy doing this. I know, like, Trey couldn't be here tonight, and Dwayne is like, it's hockey. I don't want to talk to y'all right now. But it's still fun, even with two of you on there, and I'm sure there'll be a day where
Can I make one point on that, by the way?
Yeah.
Maniac and Dwayne, the Colorado Avalanche are up 3-2 in the third period. Let's go.
Get out of here.
Dwayne's probably got a lot of adult beverages in him. He's hanging out with our boy Dawson, who I told him to tell him we miss Mr. Dawson around here. My final closing thought would be what I've already said, and so I will try not to add to it, but you guys got to learn the hard lessons I had to learn, and that is you got to watch what you say on stream. And I even sort of had my own gut check reading the back and the forth about, you know, the whole stream and things that kind of boiled over this week of, jokingly, you will hear me from time to time play this little thing.
You know the rules, and so do I. Say goodbye.
And usually that's only played whenever somebody breaks FPR. I've yet to turn anybody in, by the way, including Mr. Well, never mind. I'm not even going to say it. It's just in jest and in fun. And I'm competitive like everybody else. And so sometimes it gets the best of me and you say something in the heat of the moment that you're like, oh, I wish I could take that back. I just think we got to be a little bit cooler. And maybe it's just because the last few I've turned into have just not been awesome. And I'll tell them right here. I've said it. That Jets Colts game the other day was embarrassing. I was embarrassed that represented my community. It got so ugly, and I went back and forth and watched both, and it just was like yuck. Like if someone was just tuning in randomly and watching these two streams, they would make a judgment call about the humans in this league. That I know those two humans, that's not who they are. That they are represented better as the humans I've come to know. And it doesn't represent our community as a whole. So again, it's a fine line here. It's a free world. You can do what you want, but it is my community, and I can also do what I want. And I can say, but I don't want you here because your online presence sucks and your energy sucks and the things you say sucks. I've had to make examples of people before, and those people got to come back after hopefully learning their lessons, and hopefully we can just kind of clean this up. We're going to wrap it up with that. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope that you had a great one. It was good to hear that Big Hurt had things turned around. Maniac was dropping the kids back off to college and literally ran into the house to get this thing. I'm not that oblivious to it. None of you owe me anything, and it is an honor and a joy just to do this. And that's why I try not to let the negativity faze me. We will play with abilities on for the last season just to see, even though I hate the idea of gimmicks again. It just, I'm just so over all the gimmicks. I'm over it. Even the coaching trees. Like, I understand the concept, but the gimmick behind winning teams build quicker, better coaches, which make them better, it just doesn't help with parity. And I don't know. I just wish we could figure out better ways to get to the end game. Fellas, for Maniac, for Big Hurt, for the board here in the OMFL, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Happy Monday. Have a great week. I love you. You matter. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Go Stars!
The champ is here.
Smash that like and subscribe.